All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we have small forward NBA tier list. We are going to be ranking all the small forwards that are starters in the NBA or presumed starters or whatever's really just on the list here. I'm going to do my best to be straightforward with some of these that don't need extreme explanations. On other ones, maybe I'll give a stronger reasoning as to why, maybe possibly give a hot take. Anyway, though, without further ado, let's just get straight to it. You guys know how these work. First player we got is Isaac Okoro. He just got traded to the Bulls for Lonzo Ball. Definitely a C tier player. For me, it's as simple as not a great shooter in any way possible, really. Three-pointer, mid-range too. But he's a hustler, solid defender, someone who's willing and ready to give his heart to his team. So you can really appreciate that about him. Next up, we got JT. JT's really straightforward S tier. I mean, can he come back differently from the Achilles tear? Sure. But Jason Tatum, for the past 3 years now, has really showcased his ability to score from every level. You know, early on, there was some things that he still had to work on. And it's not to say he's obviously a perfect player, but he's got a phenomenal setup shot on any mid-range or three-point shot. Really good at finishing at the rim. Really strong defender. Just really elite, to be honest with you. And hopefully he comes back the same. Andrew Wiggins is either a C++ or a B-. What I mean by that is he's not someone who's going to give you 20 a game, but he is someone who can be a reliable defender. He's not someone who can be your first, second, or third best player on a championship season with his current self, but he is someone who can be a reliable starter on a really good team, or just a good team in general. Definitely B- or C+. Kelly Oubre's a good scorer. You know, doesn't really play great defense, but he scores. When it comes to finishing at the rim, he has times where he misses gimmies or shots where you feel like he should have. But all in all, still a solid scorer. Dillon Brooks is an interesting one because I would say the past year with the Rockets, he really proved his value as a B tier player. Again, not someone who is by any standards a star who's going to give you 20 a game, but someone who's going to get after it on defense, and he can shoot the three ball. Is he going to provide a whole lot of else on offense? No, but like I said, you can shoot the three ball. You can be a really good defender. You have a place in this league as a starter. Kawhi Leonard is an interesting one because prime Kawhi Leonard is obviously S tier. However, Kawhi Leonard of current doesn't have the same games played. You know, he's just not healthy all the time. 2, he doesn't score to where his prime self could in terms of attacking the rim. Feels like he's lost a step. Defensively, still solid, but feels like he's just lost a step, so it's hurt him on both sides. Still a really good player, but far from his prime self in the Raptors. Cam Johnson is honestly a perfect player for the Nuggets. Someone who is just an absolute scorer. He's not going to give you 25 plus a night by any means. 20 a night. On the Nets, maybe. I think he averages like 18 and 19 on the Nets, but realistically on this Nuggets team, it's going to be more so like 15, 16. But he's just a shooter. He's a sniper. He's someone who's able to get it done on the offensive end. Defensively, we'll see how he does with the Nuggets, you know what I mean? But Jaden McDaniels is definitely a B tier player. Another strong role player. Someone who has actually done a pretty solid job at developing his three-point shot. Pretty good finisher. He just doesn't know how to create his own shot very well. Every time he has any ISO plays, it really feels like he struggles a bit to create some separation. But really athletic player. Really good defender. And again, just like I mentioned with Dillon Brooks, if you can hit threes and you can play good defense, you have a place as a starter in this league. Jaden McDaniels, definitely B tier. Ayo Dosunmu missed a lot of time last year. He did. He really did. Kind of just had to put him by C tier at default because he was never a B tier player before that. He showed a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but got to stay healthy, got to get on the court. Zaire Williams is our first D tier player. Just very much missing a lot of parts to his game. For one, consistency. 2, the ability to shoot and finish at a good level. Really just a work in progress kind of player. Still a long ways to go. DeAndre Hunter, another B tier player. And this one is pretty straightforward. He gets to the Cavs. What does he do really well? He plays really good defense, and he can shoot the ball. Notice a pattern going here. Pretty straightforward. BI is a confusing one. My biggest reasoning for him being confusing, and this is not his final placement, I'm still thinking about this, is he averages like, what, 20 plus a game. He looks really good, but he has yet to play any, and I mean any, meaningful basketball. If you think about it, he was on the Lakers when they sucked, gets sent to the Pelicans. Pelicans have just not been competitive his entire tenure, then gets traded to the Raptors. But mind you, he's been injured a lot with the Pelicans, goes to the Raptors, hasn't played a game. I don't think he's played a single game yet. Right, because he was injured. So where do you put a guy who averages 20 plus but hasn't had any meaningful basketball? I would say not C, B. Definitely B, because he's someone who can, end up being B plus. I don't think he'll ever be an A tier level player. But the reality is he's got to play some meaningful basketball and he's got to stay on the court. Oswar Thompson, low B right now. He had moments of flashes, right? Great moments of flashes of playing some amazing, stellar defense, getting some amazing blocks, getting some steals and finishing it at the other end, finishing some alley-oops. But a lot of it was, I believe he had a blood clot. I'm positive he had some sort of injury internally, not like muscles or bones, but I'm pretty sure he had a blood clot. And that definitely affects your development because you're not able to work out, you're not able to train or do anything like that. You really just have to do a whole lot of nothing until you're cleared. But anyway, his minutes were heavily managed. You look at Oswar, you look at Amen. This is Oswar. If you look at Amen, he played significantly more minutes, but maybe this season we see Oswar get more minutes. But he's someone who could definitely soon be an A tier. He stays on the court, stays ready, gets his minutes up, because the only thing he lacks, he has everything. Rebounding, steals, blocks. He can definitely pass the ball. The one thing he genuinely lacks is a jump shot. And obviously that's a big deal in today's NBA. Huge deal. But his elite defense is elite. You know what I mean? It makes up for a lot. But if he can develop a J, Denny Avdija is a weird one. Because you look at him on the court and you just see his importance immediately, which is being able to facilitate and manage. And this is someone who not a lot of people really know about him because he's on the Blazers. And before that, he was on the Wizards. But he is someone who provides real value to his team. Everyone is better when he's on the court. And he has these games where he can just drop 30 because he's just feeling it. He's feeling good. The only real thing that's a knock on his game is defense. He just doesn't have that lateral quickness. But Denny is definitely a B tier player. A lot of B tier players so far. If I had to organize it more, probably like that. J-Dub is another S tier. I know what some people may think. J-Dub's better than Kawhi. The reality is J-Dub's going to get you way more games in a regular season than Kawhi. Even though he had a torn ligament in his hand, he's going to play through it and be a dog. He can hit the three ball. He can hit any mid-range. He can create his own shot. He's really good at finishing. He's a really, really strong defender. The difference between him and a guy like Kawhi is, at this point in his career, J-Dub's more athletic. And not only that, he's there every game. Availability is key. It does matter. And you can't argue with the availability part. You can argue with other things, sure. But J-Dub, fresh off of a finals dub, he is an S tier in my opinion. Some people might still slot him at A. Understandably so. But to me, J-Dub, he is that guy, 100%. And he is a big piece as to why the Thunder could have a dynasty in their hands. Because, of course, Shai's the best player, but J-Dub is almost like a bit underrated because some of these people don't see him as, it's funny enough. Some people had Spicy P better than J-Dub before the playoffs, and understandably so. But I had always been an advocate for J-Dub being that guy, being a difference maker. And again, playing on a torn ligament, he was a difference maker. Oh, man, you have to put him in B tier. He's definitely not A. He's not on the same level as Kawhi. But damn, dude. This you gotta put Josh Hart up here. He does everything, dude. He literally does everything. The only knock on his game is he can't shoot the ball at a desired rate, is what I'll say. I don't want to just force players moving up to A, but some players just gotta get to A. Some players gotta find their way. That's where I'm kind of just like, damn, this is a whole lot of B tier. To add on to A real quick, to not make it look so stuffy, Franz is an A tier player. I see him right there. Average is 24 per game. He can shoot. He can score. He's very fundamentally sound. The only real knock on his game would be his athleticism, and it shows up on the defensive end. But honestly, he's just a really solid player. He can work on his three-point shot as well, but he really just does everything. Like I said, floor general. He can score from every level. Could he work on his three-point shot? Yes, definitely. But again, he averaged 24 on a team that had Paolo Banchero, so still a really, really strong player. If you guys don't watch Franz Wagner, look for the Magic this season because the East is not very good. The Magic are going to be a contending team in the East, no doubt. Look out for Franz there. Another A tier is Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Butler. I mean, what can you say? Playoff Jimmy just does all the right things. The biggest knock on Jimmy right now is his availability and his three-point shot. I've said that quite a bit in this video, but that's the case with a lot of these guys. Just need to be more consistent with their three-point shot. Jimmy Butler, by no means, is a good three-point shooter. By no means at all. But one thing he does is he's a winning basketball player. He makes winning plays. I know he doesn't have a finals under his belt, but look at the teams he's played with. It's kind of hard to do that. The Warriors was his best chance, and then Curry messes up his hamstring. So KD's S. We can get this out of the way right now. KD is easily S tier. Easy money sniper. Still does easy money things. Bucket. Probably the greatest offensive player ever. Yeah, Curry, don't get me wrong. Curry, greatest shooter ever. But KD can back you down, get your fader. KD can hit any kind of three-point shot. KD can finish in every way, facet possible. Just insane. KD is literally a walking bucket. You surround him with better players, he can dime you up too. His passing ability is very underrated. The one thing that does show is when he gets doubled, he has trouble at times getting out of a double team. But he can dime you up. He just needs the players to do so. I'm telling you. Like, a lot of people, understandably so. This is not a knock towards anyone. A lot of people don't have time to watch 5 games a day, let alone 1 NBA game a day. So they're going to choose 2 to 3 games a week, if that, because they're casual fans. Most people are casual fans, so they're not going to watch every single game. They're not going to watch KD with the Suns playing against Chicago Bulls, the Nets. You know what I mean? Teams that are just not a high seeding. Let alone, they also have to pay for the NBA League Pass. Some people just watch only the national games. So they don't really get to see, even though KD as popular as he is, they don't get to see all of it. And I'm telling you, KD can dime people up. Very underrated passer. It blows my mind. Keeping it going, Aaron Nesmith. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Definitely B tier. Just absolute sniper. I mean, you guys saw how clutch he was too with the Pacers. Elite defender. Yeah, I mean, just awesome to watch. The B tier is so filled, but I just don't want to force an A tier, you know what I mean? And I don't see anyone in B that I can just jump to A. No one. And anyone in B, if I dump down to C, that feels wrong. Feels very, very wrong if I were to do that. I don't know, man. Keeping it going. Josh Green. Yeah. Definitely a player with the Mavs who was a scrapper, but that's all he ever was, and gets moved to the Hornets, and not much better, unfortunately. Devin Vassell. Got to work on his fundamentals for sure, which is funny because he's on the Spurs, and that's heavily what they're known for because of Coach Pop, but Devin Vassell, someone who has the capabilities of being a 20 points per game scorer, and he can score, and he's the type of guy when he's streaking, and he's just going. Could I just dump him to B? Sure, but it's the little things, man, that he's just absolutely got to work on. If you asked me on a winning team right now, would I rather have Devin Vassell or any of these guys as role players? More often than not, you're going to want the role players who do the right things, right? Who don't just chuck or aren't super streaky. They're going to be consistently giving you either good defense or someone like Cam Johnson, who's just a sniper, or someone like Denny, who's just an absolute legitimate floor general. Could you slot Devin Vassell to B? He'd be like a B- if you do. But a lot of these B tier guys, they're not just filler. They're someone who they play their role, which is they're not the best player or the second best player. BI is the only exception because of injury, where that's just a really clouded area with BI. But your typical B tier player knows their role. They aren't the guy who's going to average 30 a game, 25 a game. They aren't the guy who's going to shoot 20 shots a game. They're the guys who play really good defense, who hit the open threes. Some of these guys more than others, but you know what you're getting out of them. Devin Vassell, you don't know what you're getting on a nightly basis. That's just the reality of it. Klay Thompson, far cry from when he once was, just doesn't move as much as he used to. Still a really good three-point shooter, but defensively, not the same. Outside of his three-point shot, not the same. Rui Hachimura, you know what you're getting every night. A dude who is just consistently hitting mid-ranges, who is going to consistently hit these open threes, consistently being able to finish. I'm not saying he's going to pull off some crazy athletic posters or anything, but you know what you're getting out of Rui Hachimura pretty much on a nightly basis. Definitely a really good player. DeMar DeRozan, to me, this is a weird one because constantly throughout his career, he's been known as a mid-range shooter, not a three-point shooter, blah, blah, blah. I don't identify DeMar DeRozan as a winning basketball player. To me, he's just never been a winning basketball player. He takes up too much of the attention to not on any offense, right? He becomes so much of a focus, but doesn't dime people up. Holds onto the ball to take these mid-ranges it's an outdated style. Really, really is. You look at Shea just does it so much and so much more consistently. He's going to get you 30 a night. DeMar DeRozan, not so much. Just not a fan of DeMar DeRozan's game. Can't argue with the stats. Is a B tier player. If he was on a better team than the teams he's been on, I mean, don't get me wrong. He was much better with the Raptors. But his game's just outdated. That's just the reality of it. DeMar DeRozan's game is just outdated. We got Cody Williams. This is J-Dub's brother. Still a very raw player. Very, very raw player. Talking about a dude who needs to work on his handles, his defense. Seems like he's got a J, but I don't even know how much he averaged. He didn't average very much with the Jazz. He had in a game in the Summer League where he had 20 plus points. But a lot of it is he just looks really raw. Got a ways to go. He was a first round pick in the top 15, or he was a lottery pick with the Jazz in 2024. So we'll see how his career goes. He is the brother of J-Dub. Trey Murphy, to me, this is just a really, really good player. He's absolute sniper. Absolute sniper. Super athletic. He's just in a bad situation. So, oddly enough, a lot of B tier players. Only 3S, only 3A, a lot of B, some C, only 4 D tier players. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 out of 30. That's a pretty high percentage. That's 40+%, around 42-ish. It's higher than I want it to be honest with you, but I can't come up with a reason to give these guys a worse grade and give them a better grade. Let me know what you guys think. I think S tier is solidified. I think A tier is solidified. Maybe do this, definitely. I didn't organize B as well as I wanted to. I don't want to take the time to do that. It's just going to make this video obnoxiously long. Because I've been recording for how long now? It's been a bit. 25 minutes. All right. Let me know what you guys think. I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. If you to like, subscribe, it goes a long way to the channel. As always, this is All Even Different. All Even Different. And we out.